Hi everyone, it's Yasmin, and today I'm going to teach you how to actually get your habits to stick. So you want a new habit. How often is it do we enter the new year and we have these resolutions that we've set out for ourselves that we have full intention of keeping, and then less than a week later, they're on the back burner, we've forgotten we've even tried them? Or how often is it that you've wanted to pick up a new skill, you've wanted to pick up a new habit that someone you admire practices daily? You know that it's going to change your life if you can just get that habit to stick. How often have you gone down a YouTube rabbit hole trying to figure out how to finally get your habits to stick, or what habits to actually what habits to actually integrate into your life? Well, the problem is a lot of us have a hard time actually keeping habits. Habits are hard, and for a lot of people, the easiest way to get them to stick is tracking. And the reason for this is when you're measuring something, you can see how well you're doing and how well you're not doing. Um, you can see if you're actually keeping the new running habit or if you've totally put it on the back burner. Helps remind you. It's just a good thing to do. Problem is, there's a lot of styles of tracking habits out there, and they're not all great. You can pick up any sort of habit tracking app that you'd like, but the issue with a lot of them is that they want you to go on streaks and that they are tracked indefinitely. So, say you decide you want to pick up juggling and you've put it on your habit tracking app and you're trying to get your streak up, and 5 days in, you realize you really don't like juggling and it's kind of a worthless habit. You feel defeated. Or the other side of things is you have this habit that you really want to stick to, but you missed a day for whatever reason. It was raining out and you couldn't go run. You just didn't feel like it. And now your streak is back to zero and you feel like you've just wasted those 2 weeks that you spent building the habit. And that's going to happen. There are going to be days where you lose motivation. So if the solution is tracking, but the means to do that is not an app on my phone and it isn't to try and earn streaks, how do we actually track habits that'll work? Today I'm going to introduce you to the Martin method, which is probably something you haven't seen before. I got this from College Info Geek. It's a great website with lots of resources on habit building, skills building, and sort of just making you a successful college student. And I really like it. So today I'm going to teach you how to use this method, and I'm going to tell you as we go through why it's so valuable. So you'll notice that we aren't using an app for this. We're actually going to use either a notebook or a piece of paper, whatever you want. So your first step is to fold your piece of paper in half, and then the way this works is it's an analog method. And I like this because you're able to start small. You can easily note causes for failures, and at the end of each cycle, you can sit down and reflect and think which habits are worth keeping, which habits are worth throwing away, and how you can tweak habits to make them more successful. So this works in a 2-week increment. So you'll want to date the paper. So for instance, for April, we'll put April 1st. We'll mark off 15 days for the first half of the month, and that's step one. Then you'll decide which habits you want to track. So let's say you want to do an exercise habit, you'll write down what it is. Try and be as specific as possible, like I am here with at least 15 minutes of cardio. You can always overshoot, but try and have at least a minimum number so you're not just left guessing whether or not you were successful. The next thing is, after you write down what it is, you'll want to take note of what type of habit it's going to be. So if it's going to be something that you want to track and that you want to do every day, you'll mark it with a D in parentheses like I did here under exercise and music goals. But if it's something you only care about tracking during the week, which is something that a lot of the apps don't give you, you can mark it. So say I want to be in bed by 11 p.m. during the week. I'll denote Monday through Friday, I'm trying to be in bed by this time. Then you'll essentially create blocks where you'll denote whether you were successful or not. So you'll use 3 different types of marks each day. A plus if you were successful, 0 if some unforeseen circumstances got in your way, and so something that wasn't just laziness got in your way from reaching that goal for the day. And then a minus for when you didn't complete that habit, that would be denoted as failure. So once you've marked which habits you want to track, you've set it up, you're ready for the next step. So on the other half of your paper, you'll want to have a section titled Failure Notes. So here is where you'll denote any sort of failure. So anytime you mark a day with a negative, you'll write down the date so you know which day it was and essentially which habit, unless you forgot to track all of them. And you'll write down what it is that caused you your failure. So if I spend too much time on YouTube and that stopped me from getting to my goals, or if I stayed out too late and couldn't get to bed at my desired time, I'll write that down every time I do not hit the goal. And even if you have an unforeseen circumstance, mark it so you know what it was that got in the way. On the bottom half of that second side, you'll have what we call cycle review. So at the end of the cycle, after your 15 days are up, you'll take some time, you'll look at your failure notes, you'll look at how well you did, and then you'll make some notes of tweaks that you need to make. Maybe there's a habit that you tried tracking that you just really aren't passionate about and you want to get rid of. It's totally okay. The reason why this is helpful is it allows you to tweak your goals in a way that makes sense. So one other advantage about this is that you can take bigger goals and turn them into smaller daily habits that allow you to be successful. So, for instance, I have a goal of finishing a book in this 2-week cycle. So what I can do is I can take the number of pages, divide it by the 15 days, and figure out exactly how many pages I need to read per day. So it's useful for habits like that if I want to read this book or this many books per month, and not just, oh, I want to be in bed by this time, or I want to juggle for 5 minutes every day. So it's flexible with how you use it. So that's it for the Martin method. I really like it. It's been helpful for me this year. And I hope you are able to implement it. I hope you're able to see the benefits of this. I know with quarantine, a lot of us have a lot of extra time. A lot of people have been talking about picking up quarantine habits. So maybe this is a way for you to track your new quarantine habits. You can come out on the other side of this and say, I learned new skills, or I got in better shape, or I read so many books. So I hope this was helpful for you. I wish you a happy habit tracking, and an important thing to remember to take away is what gets measured gets managed, and that's why we track our habits.